Thank you so much, Pem C.
My name is
Okay.
Pema Chodan, by the way.
Oh, okay. Oh, so Pema, is it Pema Choden?
Yes, lah.
I thought it was Pem Choden. All
Pema
right, so
Chodan.
nice meeting you. Can we get to know the founder of Yeewong magazine and YeeGetaway, Pem C. Yi Story La.
Do you have time? It's a really long story.
Yeah, yeah, all the time in the world.
Plus. Hello everyone. Everyone who's present here in Pema C's live. Thank you, Pema C, for this opportunity. I've been watching your live sessions for quite some time, but like I mentioned earlier, I've been watching more of your skits and your content. Just to go back to how I started with my work, it's been almost, I think, 18 years now being in the Bhutanese media landscape, and I feel quite strange talking about it. But one thing I always say is I think our generation, we've been part and parcel of the entire transition of media's landscape, of the Bhutanese media landscape, Mona. Starting from how Facebook first started, and then now how we're using social media, not just as something that you do recreationally, but as a career as well. Yuong started back in 2008. La. I graduated in 2007, and right after that, my father wanted me to sit for RCSE because that is what everybody was doing back then.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to immediately, just decide and jump into working for the government only. I knew I was very interested in the media industry as well from a very young age, and that's why I experimented a lot. I worked in radio, not Radio Valley, in Centennial Radio. I worked as a radio host for a little while, but I was more behind the scene. I was very shy. I was very shy to work as a radio jockey. I did one session, but I was very nervous at that time. I don't know if you know Sede. She's a flight
Yeah, yeah.
attendant.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
an
yeah.
actor. She does amazing MC work also. So she is a school friend of mine, and she took me. She got me a job at Centennial Radio. I was also a teacher at YHS. So
Wow.
I tried a lot of different things before I decided to, do one thing. And I tried a lot of different jobs. I learned a little bit of documentary filmmaking, and then I met Mr. Karma Singh, who is the creator of Miss Bhutan beauty pageant, of the Miss
Yeah.
Bhutan beauty pageant when Tokitomo won. So I
Yeah,
worked
yeah.
there as an event manager, and I was taking care of the girls as well. So just making sure, their classes were on time, their logistics, and then also behind the scene. So at that time, Mr. Karmasring wanted to do a pageant magazine, and as a culmination of the event. But just working on it, we were thinking, why just a pageant magazine? I think it's a wonderful opportunity to create something different. So one thing people don't really know, well, most people don't know, is the magazine. Yuong magazine was actually sort of a proponent of the pageant event la. And at that time, that Tsoki cover na duiba laniga. So we had Tsoki Tomo as the cover. So it was launched more as a pageant magazine, but I sort of wanted it to be more than just a pageant. So then issue 2, 3, all of it, we kept experimenting with different topics. And that time, when we first started launching the magazine, there weren't many magazines in the market. We only had Tashtele, but Tashtele is not really a commercial
Yeah, yeah.
market magazine. It's an in-flight publication. So right after that, when we went on issue 2, issue 3 back in 2008, 9, 10, Demchika, there was a flood of magazines in the market. We had Ruktoa, we had some other entertainment and political news magazines as well. And I think it was such an exciting time because we also saw a lot more creative outlets through print publication when social media wasn't very popular. So Majigi first Facebook page the 2010 dim chiga suila. So it was all exciting, and we weren't really sort of using it as a business sort of a platform, but it was something that, okay, this is one way we can get people updated. In 2011, when I was pregnant, I asked Mr. Karmatsring if I could buy the rights to the magazine because I really wanted to do this as a full-time career. By the way, when I decided to work on the magazine, I sort of decided I didn't want to sit for RCSE. And
Yeah.
my father didn't speak to me for 1 month.
Oh no. Yeah.
My father's a very conservative bureaucrat lah. He's done a lot for the country. He was Sonda before he was secretary as well, and I think he had a lot of high hopes for me. And during that time when I was graduating, we didn't have a lot of graduates in the private sector. Entrepreneurship was very new lah at that time. So all my friends, everybody sat for RCSE. They did well. They got government postings and all, and I decided to sit out, and my appa was not happy. But I realized I found my love. I found my love in, working in the magazine and working in the media space. And I fell in love with my job, and I feel very grateful that I still have that same passion. And that's how the magazine started. So 2011 mangaji Royal Wedding gi issue mabihema I bought the magazine la. Thanks to my father, because last now when I decided that okay, this is what I wanted to do, he was the first one who supported me. And after I did the publication, China Gyumga Omchi, he keeps giving them my magazine. And I said, okay, Appa, you only get 2 copies now. And then every time I go home, copy he always gives them away. So he was quite proud of that. Then after I bought the magazine, I did the Royal Wedding issue. And then after that, I felt like my fellow colleagues in the media industry all started taking me a little more seriously, because for the longest time Yuong was always looked at as and the glamour magazine in there, it's just fashion, not realizing that even these industries have a story to tell, right? And I really wanted it to be a women's publication where we can tell stories of women, and ngachi tagline now, bringing her forward in bala. And this was something through stories of real women, through stories of women in entrepreneurship in different sections of society. We wanted to bring it together, but also make it glamorous and, quite something that people want to keep. The Yuong Tabe, I met my mentor in 2013. La. My mentor is a media veteran from Singapore, Michael Chiang Suyula. And 2013 na, I was losing a little bit of hope with the publication, because anytime na, I think we were, I don't know, Yuong was getting a little stagnant and I wasn't feeling inspired la. And when I met him in 2013, he came here to give a media workshop la, and I was the only magazine. Maamra newspapers le duiba, there was BBS, there was Kinsel, there were other newspapers, and I was the only one like asking him so many questions, because I was so excited to meet a media veteran from one of the biggest publishing houses in Singapore. Kudi SPH ki veteran chimbala. So he's a playwright in Singapore. He's done countless magazines. He also does a lot of freelancing contracts for the Singaporean government, the Art Council. So he has one of the best experiences in magazines. And the way he, conducted the workshop, inspiring people in the media on creativity and design and just thinking out of the box, I was so inspired. So he, I think, quite liked, how enthusiastic I was. Meetings we don't ask a lot of questions, no? Workshop. So I was like constantly asking him questions, and I was just, showing him all the publications that I had done. So I think he was impressed with that, because he invited me to Singapore for a month to sort of observe and work as an intern at SPH. And SPH, that is Singapore Press Holdings, is one of the two biggest media houses in Singapore. So in 2013, 14, I went to Singapore. Then I was just, trying not to get into anyone's way. I had a small cubicle space and I was just witnessing, observing how they worked. And that was the first time I saw print publication, radio, television, all of them work together in one corporate space and also make use of social media. Anytime now, Michael introduced me to some of the other creative directors from Malaysia, Harper's Bazaar, then other Singaporean publications. They all stressed on the power of digital media. And at that time, video content, this I think 2013, we didn't really see a lot of video creators as well. So he pushed me to really go into digital media. So when I came back, I started doing a lot of video content on Yeewong. We did beauty, skincare videos. We did giveaway. I got a whole pack of, makeup products from the office, from any SPHK, any Bride magazine, the section chi dui wala. They get a lot of free stuff from Chanel, from Dior. So they gave me
Wow.
a any gift pack chi jindala as a farewell. So I brought that back and I used it as a giveaway because I think that time videos weren't really that popular in our social media space. So that giveaway brought a lot of attention to Yuong's page as well. And a lot of young girls, the newer generation, were paying attention to the kind of work we were doing. Then at the same time, I really loved travel. I always felt we have ngaci ani chilipra maamombe, they always have some sort of impression on Bhutan. And I always felt Bhutanese should tell the story of Bhutan, you know? Of course, CNN can come here and then do a story on Tiger's Nest, but it's always Taktang. But Bhutan has so much more to offer. So 2012, 13, yeah, I think 13 side, around same time, we did the first YeeGetaway spread in the magazine, Getaway to Bumtang. And that time when I approached some of the hotels, they didn't want to keep us. They didn't want us to feature them. Kungi duk mongowe ngachi duk disluk aro domatsemak ani hotel room na ko we ngachi duk we game myogo selap chirola. And that was the first impression that we got. And my first spread was at my uncle's hotel because he was the only one who agreed. So that's the first Bumtang getaway we did. And then 2014 now, I did the Getaway to Gandhi video, co-hosted by Namgizam, because I was too shy to come in front of the camera, so I needed a co-host. So I asked Nizam to, co-host with me. And if you watch that video, you notice that I'm so nervous throughout. I was
Sorry, where are all these videos posted on
YouTube
YouTube?
Naila.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
on YouTube, yeah. And we posted it in 2014. So we had everything on Yeewong. But then when I started getting more attention through my travel content, 2018, then I decided to separate YeeGetaway from Yeewong. And unfortunately, now I don't do Yeewong anymore because we have to move a little ahead from print, right? But in between, I had the support of Anna Sonam, Sonam Jalani. She is an actually amazing literary figure. She is coming up with a book soon, and she's been a huge part of Bhutan Echoes as well. And she saw a lot of belief in Yuong, and she decided to support the magazine sometime before COVID. La. And we did two recent publications with her under her, guardianship. But I think we realized it's quite difficult to sort of keep the print running. So now I've focused a lot more on my travel space. And yeah, so that's the story.
Yeah, of course, it's a very I just love the fact that how you kind of just wanted to, you followed your dreams basically, and and you've come so far, back in the day in 2013, 2012, 2013, and then you going almost in an international space to Singapore, meeting with people and all. That's a very big deal actually. So you've come very far, and now that I saw that you are now doing a little bit of food series online, is it? How do
Um,
you,
I yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
how do you kind of keep up with your travels? Like, do you get fundings, or do you kind of, have like a separate sum of amount to, I do not know, fund your projects, or do you, like, does the government support you? What happens behind the scene?
I actually have three jobs.
Oh.
I also work as a digital media consultant. To be honest, it's quite difficult to, I think, keep going if, earn a living if you're just a travel content creator.
Yeah, that's what I
A
was.
lot of the travel productions that I do, it's mostly 90% of them are funded. Like the recent food series blogs were funded by Tom Sip, and that really helped with the travels and paying my team. And I'm sure you're aware, I don't travel alone. I have a team with me. I have
Yeah.
videographers, but I also shoot. In fact, I love shooting food. La. And most of my content style is very old school travel documentary. Although there's a lot more demand for vlogs, I feel more comfortable in the old school space. Um, More of the Fox Travel and Living, CNN, National Geographic, those sort of documentary styles. So I try my best to replicate a little bit of that in terms of the format and structure of my documentaries, my videos. But it's very inconsistent. Those projects are very inconsistent. So I also work as a digital media consultant. I am currently a media consultant for Gelsu, and I'm also working on designing brand strategies for Zongkaks as well. Right now, I have a project with Ha. So those are the projects that help me earn a living for my team, because I have a team that I have to pay salaries to as well. So consistently, I do digital media consultancy. I do training workshops as well. So those are more consistent. But what's really helped with YeeGetaway is for those projects to gain ground, people have seen my work through YeeGetaway. So then that helps in building brand and trust more. Then they realize that, okay, this is someone who can, do the kind of work that we are looking for. So the kind of videos that I do, I find the right clients for that style. So when I have certain subjects that I'm interested in, then I approach relevant agencies, sustainable conservation agencies. So if they are in line with that, then I get funding. But it's very difficult to have consistent funding for travel content.
Yeah, I can imagine, because I was going through some of your videos and I was just wondering, like, okay, how does she kind of suffice, because with all these traveling and all that requires, you have a whole lot of team, and I was just wondering that. So you get mostly 90% is funded in Memo.
Yes.
Oh, okay. How do you're a mom, right? How do you manage your time with your child and your career and your passion, and be good at everything?
I think I was very lucky when I started off when my son was a baby. He was born in 2011. So he was 3 months old when the royal wedding happened, and I had my entire family traveling to Lobusa because I had to go cover the royal wedding in the Zong. And just to be a little more honest with, when you're breastfeeding and when you're in that stage of breastfeeding, your boobs hurt so much, right?
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
whether I should say this,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
experienced one of the most painful, and then on top of that, I had to leave my son behind. I had already filled up around 3 bottles, and we had to leave at 6 in the morning because the royal wedding, it was happening in Punakha. So I had to leave with my photographer that I had hired from Thailand. And right at about 9, 10, it started hurting a lot. My chest was hurting a lot. And then I had a camera with me, and then we were in this huge crowd of international photographers. There were photographers from Hello Magazine Thailand, Harper's Bazaar, I think People Magazine as well. And international journalists, if they want a picture taken, and if you are in their spot, they'll hit you with the camera. They don't care. I just remember being pushed and not having the best time during the royal wedding. I remember everybody was looking so nice, with their kira and their hair and everything, and I was just sweating and
Painful chest.
and just disheveled. Exactly, la. So that was the experience. And even the next day when their majesties were walking from Punakha through Dochila till the main market area, la, town area. Were you there, la, during that royal wedding?
Yeah, I was around. Yeah.
Plus, so
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, there was a specific media gallery, and
Yeah.
we were stuck there for about almost 10 hours, 10 hours waiting, because their majesties were walking from Dochula and then from Hongto, and there were so many people lined up just to, receive their majesties. So we had to wait, and I think it was only towards the evening that they arrived. And by that time, my chest was going to burst. And I just remember experiencing all of that. But I did end up leaving my son on countless occasions. And I could do that because I had a very supportive family. I had a supportive husband who was there, and he understood how important my work was for me. And at the same time, I was lucky because my office was just upstairs. So I could work late night editing the magazine around till 1, 2 in the morning. That time when I was much younger, I could work quite late. Now I get burnt out. So it was convenient that way. And I was my own boss, so I had that flexibility. So it worked out well.
Yeah. Yeah, are you like planning to come up with some more like digital contents for your travel vlog?
Yeah.
You're also one of the first travel vloggers from Bhutan, if I remember, right?
Uh, Vloggers, I don't really consider myself a travel vlogger. I always say I'm a traveling storyteller. So I
Yeah.
used different mediums. First, it was with the magazine back in 2013. That was when I did the first travel spread with Bumtangla. And then I started really enjoying travel writing as well. Then 2014, we did the travel documentary, travelogue film. So, like I mentioned earlier, I enjoy the old school type of travel content, travel shows. Um,
Yeah.
but I find it a little difficult to sort of identify myself as a travel vlogger. Although with a lot of like bits and pieces in between, the content is very similar to vlogging as such. But I try to stick more to a more curated, researched, and how do you say, edited shows. I think I
Yeah.
find it a little more difficult to be spontaneous because I have to really think twice about, okay, is this information correct? Um, you know,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah. Definitely. It's
so
very
things like
important.
that. So I feel, yeah, I feel more comfortable being in that other space. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what is your plan now for your content creation and for your brand that you have created?
Right now I'm really busy with Gilsung. So we're
Yeah.
coming up with Gilsung magazine as well, and then we have to create a structured branding sort of a plan for the rest of the year and next year as well. So that's been taking a huge, chunk of my time. And I also have the brand strategy launch for heart tourism towards the end of the year. But I'm hoping to create some content around Ha
Yeah.
on my platform. And Ha has been quite an eye-opening sort of place for me. I mean, for a lot of us, when we go to Ha, it's always, "Ami guy mindo, it's so dead, no mavala." But the more research that we did with Ha and the more time I spent, traveling in Ha, it's been quite an interesting space. So I hope that people get excited to see the rebranding launch towards the end of the year. So I'm quite excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. So when you go around traveling around Bhutan and also you go talk to people, get their stories, is it? Or you kind of do your research about the place and
Um,
what is it? Like
it's always, yeah, yeah.
do you also kind of get stories for people like, personal stories and all that? Or
Yes,
how does it work?
it's always good to do your research before you go
Yeah.
somewhere. But I think as a traveler, what I noticed was initially a lot of the productions and video content projects that I did, I would do my research, and then I would have my preconceived notions about that place. But then I realized you get a lot more stories when you're spontaneous. You
Yeah.
get a lot more stories when you keep your script open for the stories that you hear.
Yeah.
And I realized a lot of the content that's on the internet about Bhutan is very limited. So, for example, if I want to do a research about, Pantang or a place in rural Shemgang, a rural Tashiangsi, you won't find anything on the internet because most of the people who put up that content on the internet haven't really gone there. It's always limited to Taksang, it's always limited to Thimpuparo Punakha, and we call that the Golden Triangle.
Yeah.
Even in tourism, ani zohok chamchi market boma wala mamra. But I was always interested in exploring unseen Bhutan. What else is out there? And the more I realized that you have to be open to stories, the more stories I were able to discover. Um, there was this ani chema se ichu wala in Tashiangse. And I found that out through one of the locals in Tashiangsi when I went to do a Dzongkhag funded video project. And I said, I don't want to just cover, the Dzong area and Bumdeling, because most people only know these areas. Then they said, oh, then you have to go to Ombani. You have to go and watch the Mela festival, the naked dance festival in Chema. And then I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, where are these places? I've never heard of them. Then they made us walk for about 10 hours. Yeah, madam, nari. Na bola khara yi se. Lecture. 8:30 we started. 8:30 start, baby. I think around midnight in the 1 timchika hichila. And then it was such a surreal experience because the entire village was waiting for us. And it's a tiny village. And we were walking in the dark. And there was electricity, but then it was all, a little bit of that lamppost near the Lakang and very, scattered lighting everywhere. You couldn't see people. And then you literally had to, use your torch on their faces. And then kungar line be and then suddenly when the festival starts, everybody is quiet. And then suddenly a bunch of half naked men will start dancing and prancing inside the temple. So actually the performance is done naked bella, but because we were documenting it, kungi underwear can be on the wala, but then their whole faces were covered. So imagine experiencing, these sort of festivals that we have never even heard about. Machi Mamra naked festival lagda, we think of Jambilahang. But Bhutan is filled with such amazing festivals. We have so many of these stories that we haven't explored yet. So that night was quite, surreal for me. So in terms of getting stories, I try to talk to the people, and one advantage I have is I speak multiple languages. My mother tongue is Kulmekhala, that is Chochangacha, and people usually mistake it as Kutib. It's not Kutib. Kutib sounds very similar to Bumtangkha, Augamela, whereas Kulmekha is Chochangacha. I can speak Tangla, I can speak okay Lotsamkha as well, and I understand Bumtangkha and Dzongkha because it's of course the national language. But because I grew up speaking my mother tongue, sometimes I find it a little difficult to speak fluent Dzongkha, but I try. So getting the stories from the people is the best way to go to.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Is there any story that has really changed the way you see the world, or a story that's really inspired you to the core during one of your travels?
I don't know if there's one. I always share that every travel that I do and every story that I sort of put together based on my travel, I always end up leaving a piece of myself behind, and I take a piece of that with me. So I always believe I have a piece of Merak and Saktin. I have a piece of Lunana. I have a piece of Laya. I have a piece of Baragumti with me because in one way it ends up sort of impacting you. Sometimes it's the people, sometimes it's the place because the place is just so stunning, and then you've never realized that there was a landscape like that. Baragumti, I met this group of youth entrepreneurs lah. And Baragumti is in Dagana. It's in southern Dagana, and it's one of the most stunning landscapes. It feels like you're on an island lah. And it's also the habitat of the white-bellied heron. And the project that they're doing there is funded by RSPN lah. And they want the local community to have their own livelihood through tourism, so that they don't end up fishing and then disturbing the habitat of the white-bellied heron. So Kumpagi and youth Disu, a lot of them are not highly educated, but the kind of passion that they have and the understanding they have on conservation, I found that quite amazing. I have met like educated people who don't feel the same way about conservation, but then to know that there are youth in rural Bhutan who's actually fighting the tide against rural urban migration and trying to do something back home, I found that very inspiring. And there's also this Monpa community in Tongsala, and Kungipa once a year and Monpa festival chibyo, and there's not just the traditional born rituals, but they have this whole demora binuela. Hema monpa dasu gola ka chikinga. How did they cook? Where did monpa come from? So they have this really interesting demo. And with every village, with every rural community, what we're facing is there's a lot of younger population who are leaving. And if you go to every village in Bhutan now, what's happening is you see the older population and you see the really, really young population. And that's also very dangerous. I think, I'm not sure if we're addressing it enough, because in a lot of these festivals that we go to, kumamgira nila mewala, ya da ngachi ni bonchu da ni practice bimi ani po de chonse, and there's no replacement say. So you'll find that recently it happened with the Shagi Lochu as well. And you wonder what's going to happen with the next generation. How is the next generation of young kids going to understand? How are we going to understand our history? Of course, we have the national history that's well documented, but what about community history? Or what about these smaller rituals and machira igi, these small community festivals that's happening? Why can't we take care of those? So that thought sort of stuck with me a little bit, and still stays with me as well. But at the same time, when I see younger population, the younger entrepreneurs and these kids in tourism who are trying to do something back home, I think it's amazing, because it's not easy lah. And I think whether it's the Zongkak level governance.
All right. So what do you think, since you have, kind of been all around the place and you've been doing your research and all that, do you think these festivals and all of that rituals and all of our little community history that you're talking about is kind of gonna last for some time, or do you think?
The sad thing is there's a huge number of them that have already disappeared. I think we're also now, I don't really have the data on this, because I don't know whether we're really collecting enough data around it. But I was in this village in which part was it now? In Jemgang. I had gone there to cover the bird festival. Then I was very interested in documenting some of the old folk songs. What I do with my videos is I record the community women singing, and then I bring it back here, and Choing from M Studio, who's a good friend of mine, I ask him to remix it, but not sort of kill the vibe, but to enhance it, so that we can add a little bit of echo and some sort of ambience to the song. So I try to collect a lot of these folk songs. And what that community told me was, Hema ani Shabtachidu, but then the last person who used to sing that song died recently. So there was nothing recorded. So the person who died took the song with her. So I think there are a lot of stories, festivals, and these sort of, important parts of our history that are dying with the people. And I know Ministry of Home and Sherik Bhutan especially, has done a lot in the documentation of these cultures. But I also wonder, that there might be a lot more festivals and stories that might have disappeared as well. And I think it's not something that just happens to Bhutan. I think cultural conservation is a challenge that's taking place everywhere, and especially at this time when we're so fast-tracked with, westernization and social media and things like that. So that's what's happening, and that's what I saw.
Yeah. What is your, what is that one thing that you would really, really like in your career, your traveling part and getting the stories out and all? What is your biggest dream that you have for that part of your passion?
Biggest dream. I've been saying this for a very long time. I want to be able to travel to every nook and corner of my country. I've been to all the Dzongkhaks in Bhutan, but I still feel I haven't even explored half of Bhutan. There's so many different amazing, villages, festivals, and landscapes that we've never even seen. It's not even documented. One thing I'm really excited about this year is I am trying to make a documentary of the Apchundu festival in Ha.
Yeah.
And I tried to do my research. I couldn't find anything about the Apchundu festival. And one thing quite exciting about this festival is that you'll witness the longest chip drill in a traditional ceremony. And there's this whole, part of the ceremony where they go into Hagankarpo, and Apchundu is being, called upon to sit on the horse so that the ceremony, the chip drill can start. So I find that so fascinating. And I think one of the most beautiful parts about our culture is the intertwining of Buddhism and mythology and legend and folk tales. And sometimes when I go to these places, there I meet people who are like, oh, do you think it really happened? Do you believe in all of that? And I believe it. And I do believe that, there's this existence of this other universe that keeps these stories alive. And that's what makes Bhutan Bhutan. And I find that quite fascinating. The other thing would be, my bucket list keeps changing. Every year I'm like, oh, this year I have to go to, this hot spring, or I have to go trekking to this mountain. So it keeps changing, and I find that quite exciting because that way every new year there's, some new place. For example, this food series is something I wanted to do for the longest time. And
That's such an interesting thing. I was looking through all your videos. Very interesting content. Yeah.
Thank you. I really want to go to Kempojong. Kempojong is it's far in the mountains in Lindsay. Do you know the story of Kikarate?
No.
Songse Genpo in Kikarate. He was the illegitimate prince from Tibet who was exiled into Bhutan, and he was planning on waging war against his father in Tibet, and then Guru Rinpoche was called to subdue him. And there's this whole story that Guru Rinpoche built this wooden bird so that he could put Kikarate and his followers and then send him off somewhere. And apparently he landed in Bumtangla, in Tang Valley, and that's how Tang got its name, because when the wooden bird landed, it made the sound Tang. So that's how Tang Valley got its name. So Kempojong is where Kikarate was put in exile. And apparently there's a very fascinating hot spring very close to the Chinese border there. And I've been dreaming about going to
That's
that
in,
place.
sorry, that's in Hunzi, you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's also where Dzongse Khyentse Rinpoche was born.
Oh, wow.
Kempojong, yeah. And I just found this whole combination, quite fascinating. And I heard it's a very difficult trek, but it's also one of the most sacred pilgrimage sites that a lot of Bhutanese don't know about. So I like looking for all these places that most of us haven't really been to. So maybe next year.
You know what would be so amazing, like a literal act of service for us viewers from your side would be, like, okay, since you don't identify as a vlogger, whatever videos you make of your travels, if you can just consistently post it on YouTube, so people like us can watch and learn.
That's been my biggest problem and biggest complaint. Because I have other jobs and then I have family obligations, it's very difficult to be consistent. I do as you might have noticed, I don't put any other content on YeeGetaway. It's just my travel and my projects. I don't feel so comfortable doing other videos just because I need to keep the algorithm going, and that's been my biggest issue. Even with TikTok, I'm struggling a bit because I have my job. Like right now, I'm working on my presentation that I have on Monday. So there's a lot of other things, and I know as a content creator you have to be consistent. So that's been my biggest issue as well.
No, because there are very few people out there who kind of does the research like you do, and who have so much knowledge about a lot in Bhutan especially. And here we are, like, I'm pretty sure that we don't even know 5% of sadly our okay, what we know is what we studied in school, Bhutan history, but other than that we don't really know that much. So if we have somebody like yourself kind of post maybe like once a month something new that we can learn, that would really be amazing, you know?
I'm actually planning on something, hopefully when I get a little more time. I really wanted to do a podcast series where I'm talking
Yeah, that
directly to
would
the
be
audience.
amazing.
If
Yeah.
if I have time,
No, I mean,
when I get time.
once a month, one episode.
Yes, hopefully that can I can do that next year because my work, some of my projects will end towards the end of the year. So next year, if something else doesn't come by, I'm hoping that I can really focus on YeeGetaway and do a lot more content.
Yeah.
So, and I actually have my scripts already, like topics. Okay, today I talk about this travel that I did in Bhutan where I met this person, and these are all behind the scenes stories that I haven't shared. A lot of times I focus more on the content, and I end up not really sharing much about myself, like my own experience. And I always believe that I'm a blank slate when I'm traveling. I don't know anything. I'm stupid. I have to
Yeah.
be open to experiences. I have to be open to understanding different opinions, different ideologies as well. So I always believe that I'm taking my audience with me. So
Yeah.
a lot of those experiences, I think people are able to connect because you're willing to be a blank slate. Sometimes
Yeah.
we travel because we have our own, macharani, preconceived
Preconceived
notions
notion.
to women. And
Yeah.
then we travel because, okay, you go somewhere, take nice pictures, and that's it. But are you traveling to really soak in the story and the experience of that place? For example, when you go to Pobjika, you go to a homestay because now I see a lot of people traveling to Pobjika. Do you talk to your homestay owner? Do you sign up for experiences like milking the cows, maybe with your family, maybe cooking with fresh cheese? I mean, that's a
Yeah.
completely different taste when you cook
Yeah.
with fresh
Yeah.
tansi.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, being open to all those sort of experiences and then really understanding what travel is about, because that's something I really tried to teach myself, that you're not traveling because you have a preconceived idea of a place and you're just trying to validate that. You are traveling because you're learning, and
Yeah.
life is more interesting when you're constantly learning. So, yeah.
Wow. Wow. I really, I just found you as you were speaking. Firstly, you have such a graceful personality. The way,
You
you
need
were
to know me
sharing
a
your.
little more.
I'm sure, as I mean, if
That
we,
only my
get to
my
know
family and my close friends will know the different side of me. They're like,
how truly you
you
are.
you try to
Uh,
project yourself as very ladylike, but then yeah, that's
no,
a
I,
different.
I, I really like the energy you were giving, like, very graceful, firstly, and secondly, like the way you were sharing your story. You are somebody who really, truly enjoys what you do. you
Yeah,
know
I feel very
you're
lucky
really
about that.
soaking in every single experiences that you've experienced, and I can literally see it in your eyes as you're sharing your story, and also the way you were, your storytelling skill is so, like, as you're sharing your story, I'm in fact imagining myself being there.
Oh, that's
I'm
wonderful
walking
because
with you.
that's been my wish. I
Yeah.
think sometimes it's very difficult to, get the other person to really understand an experience that you're feeling.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you're able to connect, then I'm so happy.
Yeah, yeah, I could really connect to your story, and I really feel like you have the gift. You have the gift. Of course, you have the passion, you have the gift. You're somebody who takes it very seriously. And now, as I mentioned, if you could maybe, come up with some content
Be a little
consistently,
more
maybe please
consistent.
take out some time,
Yeah.
some time for us, like your followers, your fans, so that we can kind of also experience what you experience, and that'll be an act of service, from your side.
Plus, I'll keep that in mind. La.
So yeah, thank you so much. uh Very nice. I really enjoyed hearing your story. You should, because right now it's all about social media. Even if, I mean, we could deny it all we want, but if you really would want to get something across, social media is the way to go. That's what I feel.
I totally agree.
Yeah, that's what I absolutely feel. And everybody is in it now, and
Especially
and
TikTok. I mean,
yeah,
the
there is a lot
amount
of
of content, Portuguese content creators on TikTok,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
fascinating. And
yeah,
I that this is one thing I always share with my students as well in some of my workshops, that everybody is capable of being a storyteller, and
yeah,
everybody has a story to tell. You just need to
exactly.
believe in yourself that somebody will listen.
Yeah,
Actually,
exactly.
insecurity to wala.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
started off with that same thing as well.
Yeah, that's what I also absolutely believe in. Like everybody has a story to tell, and everybody wants to be heard.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
seen, okay, like on social media you can be seen, but are they really listening to you? You know, and I really feel that not just that, I feel every story will have a little bit of inspiration to
Yes.
the person listening, so yeah, social media is definitely the way to go. And also I've been so active on social media, especially on TikTok, from I think 2018, I think. And
Oh,
there's a lot of youth, young girls, young guys, and they just pick everything, whatever is there,
yeah.
good thing, bad thing, everything they're just consuming. So it would be so nice, like if madam can spare like a little bit of time, just come on social media, share some stories, that would be really amazing.
Yeah. It took me a
you know
long time to do my first live, and then I just felt awkward talking to myself.
yeah, I
Because
know, but you get used to it,
yeah,
after a while, you just get used to it.
yeah. And most of the videos I edit, I don't edit on CapCut lah. I edit on my desktop on Premiere Pro,
Yeah,
and that takes a little bit of time because I want to do scripting for even the short videos.
yeah,
And it took me a long time to feel comfortable getting into Reels as well, when Reels was first introduced, because I am more of a long form content, like I said, the travel documentary style.
yeah.
And yeah, but I'm still learning,
So
learning
you
to
said
keep
you
up.
have a documentary coming, right? Coming.
It's more of a set of videos for Hagi and tourism rebrand lah. So you'll
Yeah,
see multiple coverages. Like the Upchundu Festival is one.
yeah,
Um,
that's good.
I'm yeah, I'm going to Nuptsonapata as well in October. So
Yeah,
hopefully we can do a video there. But there are certain sections of Nuptsonapata that is under Anila Maji. It's a sensitive area Duvala because it's next to the Chinese border, so we have to be a little careful where we shoot. And there's this whole series of videos that we're doing for Ha till the end of December. So that's what
yeah.
I'm working
So
on right now.
so that will, all of these will be released where? I'm sorry, I need full information on all that.
Hopefully towards the end of this year, lah, because my deadline is
But where is
December.
it going to be released? On your channel or
Facebook.
elsewhere?
Ha Zongkak will be launching their new social media page as well, but I'll
Yeah,
release it on my platform at the same time.
yeah,
And the one thing fascinating about this project is this is happening for the first time.
mm,
Right now, we look at branding as a national brand, Bhutan tourism, believe. But every Dzongkhag has their own identity. Every Dzongkhag has their own charm, a different story.
yeah,
So I did a proposal on sort of recreating a brand strategy for different Dzongkhags. And
yeah.
Ha Dzongda was the only one who was, very enthusiastic and willing to take a chance with that. And recently we presented it to the Prime Minister and he really liked it as well. So hopefully other Dzongkhaks will take notice and realize that there's a multitude of tourism action plan that can be taken through that branding alone. So
Yeah, yeah,
hopefully we
wow.
can get a good job done with Ha. It's quite
Yeah,
interesting. Like
yeah,
we'll be
looking forward to
depicting
it.
Ha in a different light.
Yeah. Can you believe it? I haven't even been to Ha.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I met so many people who have not even crossed Wangdila. In fact, my husband,
Yeah,
he was born and brought up here.
yeah,
Um, I think we did this Eastern tour back in 2012, and that was the first time he was traveling to the East, and he just fell
yeah.
in love with the East.
Yeah,
And
I
I was like,
haven't,
oh, I
like, I'm
see.
so ashamed and embarrassed now to admit it, but
You
I'm
take
just
your
gonna
children,
admit it.
take your
I
children,
haven't been
and
anywhere. I've
just do
only been to
some.
Paro, Punakha, Wangdi, Thimphu, Phinchling. That's it.
Really? Well,
I'm so embarrassed to
the
say
next
that,
time you
but
travel, let me know. I'll help you with your itinerary. I'll tell you
oh,
where to
I went to
go.
PUBG Cup.
Okay, oh, okay, okay.
Go
But
to her tomorrow. No?
but if you ever decide to go beyond, just let me know. I'll help you with an itinerary. I'll tell you where to
Yeah, yeah.
go.
Okay, so can I just ask you something that's totally out of topic? Are you a religious
Yes,
person,
yes.
or are you a religious person or more of a spiritual
Um,
kind?
I think I'm more spiritual, but then whenever I say that, I stop myself because I sound very pretentious when I say that. But I'll just share an experience that I had when I went to Amjomo's Manila, a boat in Merak. I was trekking to Jomokunkar, and Jomokunkar is this really unique mountainscape. I think 9 hours trek towards Anila, beyond Merak village. And when I went there, everybody told me that Amjomo does not like women, and it was mostly the men who were saying that. But apparently, the Jomokunkar mountain is not supposed to be, climbed by women. And I sent my videographers up there, and I was at the bottom of the mountain, and there was this really still lake, not very huge, very small. And then there was this tiny, like really small temple right next to the lake. And that temple didn't have anything. You know how usually Bhutanese temples, even if they're very rural, you'll have, karmiti, delani, chupini, yani altar, the garong. But that temple had absolutely nothing. It looked very barren, and it only had one statue of Amjomo. And that was the first time I saw the statue of Amjomola. Because if you go to Merak and Sakteng, especially Sakteng, there's a temple called Jomodoksa. Women are not allowed to see her face. But when I went to Jomokunkar, I saw the statue of Amjomo, and it was very interestingly colored, and it was just standing in this altar with no offering, absolutely no offering.
Yes.
So I just sat in front of the statue, and the temple door was open, and it was just so foggy and misty outside. Very quiet. I was all alone because I was waiting for the photographers to climb the mountain, shoot the drone, and then come back down. And just in that stillness, I felt some sort of energy, and I find it very difficult to describe. It's not voices, it's not somebody who's standing close to you or somebody watching you. I just felt this really strange sort of energy in that stillness. And that's when I did have that feeling before when I went to Ombane as well. My whole video team was like chit-chatting at the back, but then suddenly everything became quiet, and I don't know if it was just in my head. So I become a lot more reflective when I go to these places. And of course, most of the time it's not as a pilgrimage. I'm going there to shoot a video and do a story. But somehow these experiences have also become some sort of a pilgrimage journey for me, because that made me enhance my, not just my curiosity, but that willingness to connect with something that is beyond, what you see, what you know, what you understand. So I have always I have always tried my best to be open to that. And I think that connection brings me a lot closer to that, rather than holding chim and all of that, I guess. But I don't mean to say that this is not something you should or should not do. But for me, I've built a better connection through that. And then do that trek to Jomokunkar.
Yeah.
First few hours a little difficult, but then once and I think your family would really love it. It's a really different landscape. It's I always try to, when I travel, because I grew up reading and watching a lot of these fantasy books. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
Gothic English literature. I love Lord of the Rings. I love Harry Potter. So when I first started traveling, I always like associate that with that. Oh my God, this reminds me of the Scottish moors and Wuthering Heights,
Yeah.
or this reminds me of the trail that the hobbits took, towards Asgard. So I always imagine myself as a character, and that got me more fascinated with the idea of trekking and walking. And our landscape is, no less than the moors of I forgot the name of mountains also now, Lord of the Rings ki, but
Lord of the
the
Rings,
landscape is
Christchurch.
also very beautiful, Tilla. So I always
Yeah.
try it, and I'm sure if your kids read these books, they'll
Yeah,
really
yeah, they
easily
do.
associate with that.
Most difficult must be very easy for you, but for people like us, it's going to be very difficult.
No, no. People think that I am very good at trekking. I have my difficult knee as well because I don't train regularly. So most of the time when I travel, I'm trekking. So if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Okay, now I just wanted to, okay, before I let you go, there's just something that, again, totally off topic from from what we were just talking about. You know, we are at this time and space where, like I said, social media has really taken over, and there is a lot of youth watching, and they're consuming all sorts of information, and some people are really taking it very seriously to the point of, affecting their mental health. I do know of some people, some youth out there whose mental health has just gone down the drains, and they're not able to kind of take the pressures, and maybe, could also be comparing themselves and all that, and all sorts of things happen
Yeah.
in social media. And some people go to almost get to the point where they don't even want to continue living.
Yeah.
I would really like to ask you to kind of maybe give a little uh, advice to the youth out there, because I do know that a lot of youth watches this Let's Get Real. If not here, they'll definitely watch it on YouTube.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think what I have to share is quite contrary to, you know, what we think how we need to use social media. As in, one reason why I'm not really consistent is because I take frequent breaks away from social media.
Mm.
And what I realized was when I'm constantly trying to figure out, how has the audience reacted to my content? Because once you put something out there, you are affected by the impression and reaction from people that you don't even know.
Yeah.
And especially at a younger age, I think, I mean, even at my age, we're all constantly looking for some sort of validation, right? And different people come from different backgrounds. Some of them grow up with so much support and validation from their family. But if you grow up in a traditional Bhutanese household, you're not going to get that. So where do we
Yeah.
go looking for? Looking for it, you go to social media. You put up pictures of yourself, you put up content, and then you're constantly trying to figure out, am I enough in the eyes of people that I don't even know? So the reason why I say it's contrary is because I I'm not a big fan of the algorithm game. And that's also one of the big reasons why I don't have a lot of followers and I lose out on followers because I don't like being dictated by trends. I don't like being dictated
Yeah.
by, what TikTok or Instagram or Facebook algorithm demands you to create. And for a lot of content creators, those who follow that are rewarded. You're rewarded with a lot more views, you're rewarded with following as well. But what I find difficult is compromising with my own principles in terms of the stories I want to share. There's a specific way that I want to do it. And maybe in some cases, it's also because I'm quite stubborn with the kind of
Yeah.
stories and how I choose to share it. But at the same time, I think for me, I really need that break. I really need that space. And now I think I've reached a stage in my career where I don't need to constantly be online. The only time I want to create content is when I have something important that I really want to share with people who take my content seriously. And most of the time, I've not put up something because I didn't believe in it and I didn't
Yeah.
like it. So a lot of the videos that I've put up, these are stories that I genuinely want to share. So I don't know whether it would suffice as an advice, but I think it's really important to understand that there is a life beyond social media, beyond your screen. That's
Yeah.
why I love traveling because traveling has allowed me to breathe the air in these mountains, touch grass, listen to people, look at people in the eye and talk to them, interact with them, and then carry those stories to a platform so that a larger number of audience can connect with that. But if you really want to find a sense of purpose and fulfillment, I think you need to find it beyond the screen. I think you need to find it, use social media as a platform to get more people to connect with it. But if you really want to find a sense of happiness, you have to do it outside of social media. Because the more you put yourself in it, I think it's going to really mess up your head. And that's why I sometimes disappear for months and months, and then you won't see
Yeah.
anything from me.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Finish my
Thank you
water.
so much, Pem C.
You're
I
welcome.
really,
Thank you for inviting me.
that was a lovely piece of advice, something that I think I'll need to take as well. And thank you so much for, for sharing your story, your career, everything. It's just fascinating. Everything about you is so fascinating.
Thank you for
I hope,
listening. Thank you for
I hope
listening.
you'll continue.
Listening to me
I
babble.
hope you'll continue for years to come, and I wish you all the very best. We will be waiting. Take your time. Whenever you post, we will all be waiting to watch your content.
And let me know if you ever travel to the east. I'll personally make your itinerary, okay?
Thank you so much. Thank you, La. Thank you so much. I wish you
Thank
all the
you.
best, La.
Thank you. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you, La.
Bye.
Thank you.